Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. So, welcome to our new masterclass. So, today we're going to look at a few short demonstrations together on the different ways to create workflows on n8n. So, just before we start, I'd like to ask you if the sound is good. Can you hear me correctly? If you could, please write in the comments that everything is fine so that we can start the session properly together. At the same time, I'm preparing the documentation. Very good. So, the sound is good. Perfect. Very, very good. So to properly follow this session, I invite you to click on the documentation link. I put it either in the chat or in the description of this video. You will find a link called documentation, and that's where you'll find the different information we'll be looking at today. So it's a free link hosted on Notion that you can click and save so you can access it whenever you want. So I'm going to try to share this link now, and we'll try to look at today's topic and what the workflow is that we're going to try to understand together. So now we're going to try to do a little screen share. Okay, let's go. I'm going to share the entire window. All right. So I think, let me know if you can see my screen. Hold on, I'll share it. There we go. So are you able to see the documentation that's being displayed? Let me know if it's okay. So are you, there we go. Perfect. All right. So what we're going to see, first of all, you'll find download workflow here. So the entire workflow we'll be looking at today, you can download it here for free as a JSON file. So you could say it's the source code. And most importantly, everything I'm going to use in the workflow is well explained right here in the documentation. All the code, all the links, all the APIs. So when you're following along with me during this little training, you won't need to take notes, okay? You just need to understand the mechanism, the information, how the data flows and circulates within n8n. And afterwards, you'll have a whole documentation that you can copy and follow. There's even a video I've placed for you in this documentation. All right, so to start, I like to go to the n8n website. So what's very important is to know that today, n8n is mainly used to automate certain tasks within a company. And especially, we try to automate tasks that are routine, meaning tasks that a machine can perform on a recurring basis, especially when it comes to text processing or image processing. So these kinds of operations can be automated. As of today, artificial intelligence or automation in general can't automate everything, not yet. But still, it saves us a huge amount of time. And of course, it's not going to replace humans, that's for sure, because anything related to decisions and the final choice, the last choice, must be made by a human. But it's a very interesting tool that allows a human, instead of processing, for example, 10 files a day, to process 100. Or if we talk about prospecting especially, automation is very, very geared towards prospecting. Instead of, prospecting, for example, 100 clients per week or per month, they can do it per day thanks to these systems and these automations. So today, when we create workflows, we apply them in several domains. So we find them either in sales, finance, everything related to accounting as well, and also in everything related to content creation. Today, everything that is sharing to social networks, using artificial intelligence to automate everything that is, for example, advertising, everything that is the sharing of products. We do that today with workflows, and it's really, really effective. It doesn't cost us any money. You just need to install it, then a few APIs, and let the work get done automatically. Among the many workflows I've created, the ones that have been really popular, downloaded and used by companies today, are those that automate responses to quotes, the creation of online quotes, and especially automatic responses to comments on social media for businesses. So it saves them a huge amount of time. If someone posts, a request, we capture it, we process it, and we respond to it quickly thanks to automations. So that's a bit of a small introduction to its importance. So today, when you use a tool like n8n here, it's generally for three reasons. One, you want to learn to master this intelligence to automate the tasks that you do. So generally, you'll look at what things you do manually in your business and you'll automate them yourself. Secondly, generally, one can learn about this automation and subsequently sell the workflows because it's like a program, it's like a website from the past. Today, I have about 100 workflows. I can tell you that 90% have been sold. That is to say, ordered. So people are coming. They tell me we need to automate this or that task. And thirdly, we learn to automate because today, if we go to work in our own business and we truly want to add even greater value to our service or offering, we use this technology to further increase customer satisfaction, to motivate customers to make a purchase, and to improve the overall experience. Choose us because we have a fast service. But the truth is, the speed isn't about bringing in more staff, but rather we're going to keep the same staff, but we're going to give them very powerful tools. So that's a little bit of an introduction. So, what are we going to do today? I actually just wanted to, I'll give you a small example. What is the objective? My goal is to work on a workflow and show you a little bit of it. How information flows in this workflow, understanding the settings, and also understanding how we think, how we implement a workflow. That's the goal. The goal is not to show you how to create nodes or how to connect APIs. All of this is well explained in the documentation, but my goal with you is a brief introduction to show you the power of this tool and what you can do with it. So, first, I put here in the documentation, you will see that there are some examples of several channels from Instagram, YouTube. There are even others that are on TikTok. They are simply, we're going to visit them. This is just to see a little bit. These, for example, are channels. This one has 387,000 followers. That's practically all the content. In fact, it was made thanks to what we call artificial intelligence. And today, this kind of channel, there are even some that are 100% avatars, for example. We find a lot of channels today that are created with artificial intelligence, like this one, for example. And in addition to that, there are people who, if you will, pay for collaboration so that people post products related to all these creations. And that's why what's very important today is that content creation isn't like it used to be, a classic thing where you just turn on your camera and publish. So today we find models, we find pages that are, verified and have thousands of followers and get millions of views, all because they're created by artificial intelligence. This just goes to show you the great potential we have, meaning we can use it for our own company with our own product, but we can also in fact create, high quality content channels. And that's the proof. They get millions of views, collaborations, and content on many different topics. So the idea today is that I'm going to use an API called One. So what is the One API? First, to understand what the word API means, an API is simply a computer service. With my program, I can call on that service, and that service will process an image, a video, a sound, or maybe it will create something for me. And I communicate with this computer program using what's called an API. It's like a bridge. And so today there's a site called file.ai. It's a website that brings together practically all the most well-known APIs on the market today. So these are APIs that, allow you to perform several executions. There are many APIs, and today you no longer need to be a computer scientist or someone who does programming to be able to handle these APIs. So each of these APIs will perform an action on an image or a video. And thanks to automation, I can call on these APIs. And so for me, I just need to come up with an idea. And that idea, I'll simply, apply it 100 times a day. And so the automation will handle the generation, the creation of content as I want, for example, 3, 4, 5. And today we can even automate the sharing and the response to comments or information about the video we're going to create. For example, here, I'll show you, for example, I can call on, for example, blotato.com. That's also another API. What's its main function? It shares on social media. For example, for me, all the content I create, whether on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Instagram, is actually automated thanks to APIs like that one, which share on my behalf. So instead of me opening the 8 networks, I'll simply call on that API, which will do the work for me. So that's kind of the logic of APIs. And what's beautiful today, what's very interesting today, is that thanks to software like n8n or other automation software, you don't need a computer science background to be, a developer or a computer engineer to master it. That's what's so beautiful today, that there's a simplicity and a very, very easy way for me to handle them. And that's kind of the topic for today. So the APIs, yes, the APIs today are, of course, paid. So I'll spend $1, whereas in the past, just to create the same video, I would have had to spend $50 or $100 or even $1,000 sometimes, depending on the video's complexity. It's nothing. So it's very interesting. And above all, I can automate it so that it's done, 3, 4, or 5 times every day. And that's actually what makes it so powerful. Of course, when I use an API to share on social media, you have to do it in moderation, of course. Meaning, I'm not going to ask it to share a video every 5 minutes because otherwise that's spam. And of course, the networks will try to filter that kind of content. But if I'm a company, I share twice, a maximum of twice a day for each network. So that's reasonable. But I'm not going to do it just because it's automated and allow it to be done, every single minute. So that's what we call that's spam really, and it's not allowed by the networks. So yes, the live stream is being recorded. You'll be able to see the replay, obviously. So for me here, our goal is to kind of go over everything to simplify things for people who are just discovering n8n. Because after the poll, most of the people who are in the live stream today or who requested the live streams are beginners. So we're going to try to show them how we think when we create a workflow and when we implement it. So for me, my idea is simple. What's the idea? The idea for the workflow I wanted to create actually was a proposal sent by a person, a content creator, who asked me to create a custom workflow. What was the objective of the workflow? We wanted to send a video, and I want that workflow, when it receives a video, to change the avatar, to change the person who is speaking, and it will change it to my own avatar or the avatar of another person or a manga style avatar. It doesn't really matter, or something animated. But we're going to keep what is said in the video, and we're going to change it with another voice because we're going to process the voice. Because if it's a man who is speaking in the original video, then in the second video that's created, if we're going to use a female avatar, it would be good for it to be a woman's voice or the voice of the person who is doing the replacement. Why, in fact, this workflow is simply that this person, sometimes when they make educational videos, for example, about restaurants or for their own clients, the owners, the people they're filming, they don't want to be on camera. They just want to explain and show the recipe or show the product, but they say, no, we don't want to be shown. They don't want to be on camera. So what we do is all the work with these people, and with a simple automation, we're going to change the person who is speaking in the video. So you see, I have a problem and I'm looking for a solution. So what's the solution? Well, you know that if I were to hire a company to make me a second video, but with another person speaking, it would be too expensive and technically very difficult to do. I won't say impossible, but it's very complicated to do because there are standards to respect in the recording. You'd need a green screen, you'd have a lot of technical constraints. So for me, when I take this idea, I first tell myself, I'm going to first identify which APIs I'll need. So the API I'm going to use is this one called One. So the One API, what does it take? First, as input, it simply takes the video in question and it takes an image that I want to swap it with. So this API, in fact, will simply replace that lady with this image. And this API even gives me two options. Either it changes the background, as you can see, or I also have the option of not changing the background, but to leave the original background. So if I look here, I'll show you the second API. And of course, I'm free to choose which one depending on the need. So here I go. Here's this one. It's actually the same. It's still One, but this API, this one does move, and this one Wait, no, they both do move. So here it is, it's replace. So I'll take this one. This is the one that actually does the replacement. There, replace. So this is replace, and it replaces the person who was there. Okay. So for me, if I look at my, I'll look here, here's the workflow. Of course, we said that the workflow is available in the documentation where you can download it here. So here I have the workflow that I can download. So here you see I actually wanted to use Telegram as my input. Now, the choice of Telegram, I can of course use a WhatsApp, I can use a form, I can use whatever I want, but I generally use Telegram because it's the easiest to configure. Because setting up Telegram is simple. You just need to, you'll see here, I've left you the download link. You can connect Telegram with n8n in a way that's the easiest to do. So right here, there are the credentials. I've put the link here for you, which will actually show you how to make the connection. It's very easy. I'm not going to do it here because I've repeated it several times on my channel. So for Telegram, what I'm going to do is simply send what? I'll send the video, the link to the video, along with the images that I'm interested in. And to do that, I save all my images on Cloudinary. So I'll show you that. And I also recommend you use it if you'd like with a simple free account. There, I can host them. So now we're just going to log in. So for the space where we do the storage, I make this choice, but obviously you can host the image if you want on Google Drive, or simply send the photo or the video directly with Telegram. But I always prefer to send the video with a link that's already hosted. So what I'm going to do now is just execute this. So I'm executing Telegram, and I'm going to try here to open my Telegram, and we're simply going to send a video with the photo right here to Telegram so that I can test with it. So now I'm going to take in this existing video where I am actually the one speaking in that video, we are simply going to add a photograph just to test it out. So now I'm actually putting it on Telegram. It's done. So now when I send the information to Telegram, you'll see that right here, it just showed me that Telegram has just been executed. So if I look here on Telegram, you'll see that there I just sent an image, a photo, and there's also some content here, which is simply the URL of my video. That is to say, I just sent it my video where I want the system to intervene to change the character that exists in the video, and I simply want it to be replaced. So once that one is executed, what I'm going to do, you'll see that now I'm going to retrieve the information, which is the photo. So when I execute this one, I've just retrieved the photo, and this photo, I'm actually going to host it as well. Now, I'll tell you why. Because later, when I send this photo to my API, the API also needs the photo to be hosted, and hosted in a public way. So you'll see that here in the documentation, I've included right here the website where you can simply host any photo, also temporarily and for free. So it's this one, actually, it's TMP file. Temp file allows you to host any photo. So I actually send it on Telegram. The system retrieves it. But be careful, in my Telegram, I'll have two pieces of information. I've sent the photo and also my video. So to make things easier, we're going to pin it here so the information gets saved. We won't need to re-execute it a second time if we ever need to reload the page. And here, I've added a small JavaScript function. Now, you should know that in all the workflows I've created, all the JavaScript functions here were actually created with ChatGPT. This means that I go to ChatGPT, I speak to it in simple language, and I tell it, listen, I'm going to get a video and an image from Telegram. And from there, I want you to get the caption to actually get the URL of the video I'm sending with it. So when I execute this one as well, what's it going to do? It's also going to retrieve the video because I'm interested in the video. So I'm simply going to execute this, this node right here. There, we'll save it. This one, what did it do? You'll see when I actually open the node, I'll open it here. When I open the node, I find that it just gave me the URL of the video. So the video's URL is very important to me because with that URL, I'm simply going to try to send it to my API. Next here, we have what's called the workflow configuration. So what is the workflow configuration? It's that here I actually set up my APIs. So here for the demonstration, I've created some APIs just for testing. So here I've actually set up the file API because for every API I'm going to use, I have to create what's called a token. I actually have to create a code. That code will allow me to communicate with that API. So right here, we find the file API, and we also need an API called replicate API. Now, for these two APIs, I've put the link in the documentation here, of course, so you can simply go and create the replicate one right here to go directly and use that API. And there you'll actually find the file API. So we'll need file, which is right here. So those are the two APIs we're going to need. Now, once I've set up the two APIs, here I wanted to declare a global variable. What does global variable mean? In fact, this node is very interesting because if one day I change my APIs, I won't need to go looking for the APIs left and right. No, I'll go directly here and change them, update them here. Same thing here, I've put the URL of the voice I want to use because for every video where I want to replace the voice inside, I need a new voice. And so this is basically a link that contains the MP3, there you go, of the voice that I wanted to test. So this configuration, this node, we're going to execute it. So there, it's just been executed. So here, as an introduction, I've prepared my information and my data. What I'm going to do is take all this data and pass it to the second step, which is a step where I'm going to separate the video and the audio because I'll have two different processes. I'll have a first process where I'll replace the avatar and a second process where I'll replace the voice. So I'm moving on to the next step. Now, the file API, well, the file API isn't actually free. It's a paid service. But you know, when you use an API, if you put in, for example, a $5 credit, with those $5, you can actually create maybe even 10 videos. So it's not expensive because if I look at the result I'm going to create or the work that a workflow can do for me, it's incomparable to asking a human to do it or a company to do it. So that's what's very important. So with APIs, well, listen, companies, if they're going to create a video every day with automation over a month, how much will they spend? $30, $40. It's always very, reasonable. So that's very, very important. So it's not free, but it's still reasonable in terms of cost. Now I'm just going to execute this step where I'll gather all the data. So I'll always pin it here so I don't have to do it again. And here I'm launching an API that allows me to separate the audio from the video. So I'm executing it now. So what is this API exactly? Well, I'll open it for you. You'll even find it in the documentation here. So it's this API there from replicate. There you go. So you just have to go to the replicate site. And so use this API. You'll find all the coding here, but for us in our workflow, here, I just put in $1 actually, and $1 will allow me to process up to 20 videos. So I can process 20 videos by separating the audio from the audio from the video. So what you'll do, you'll find here, if I go back here, if I open this this node, what's inside the node? We find here, so the URL of my API. And here you'll see it's basically the API code because the API has a code that I'll need to call here so that I can execute my job. And for the input here, I should simply give it the base video, the video that contains the information. That's why here, if I go back to the documentation, you'll find, there you go, I've actually put the entire configuration here. So once I've executed that, I always add a wait time. Now, generally, it's a wait time that doesn't exceed 30 seconds here. It all depends, of course. If the video is long, it can take a bit longer, but generally for a short video, I wanted to test it with a short video. The wait time is very, very short. So this one, we're just going to pin it. This one too, so we'll pin it. And now we're going to download the audio. It's simple. Downloading the audio is a simple HTTP request with the get method. So here I'll execute it and you'll see that it just gave me an MP3. As you can see right here, it's the audio by itself. So I can retrieve this one. Now, another step, a very important one, is actually divided into two sub-steps. There's a part down here where I'm simply going to change the audio, meaning the audio The system here you'll see is an API that I'm going to show you. So it's here in the documentation. This is the one that will actually transform the audio, called Chatterbox.